Hey guys, it's Greg, and today I'm bringing you a pretty long video. This is going to be a very comprehensive beginner's tutorial on how to use Wix to build your website. I've been looking through the other YouTube videos on this, and I haven't found one that's slow enough pace, step-by-step, detail-oriented, so I wanted to bring you one myself. So without further ado, let's hop into the computer. So first things first, I put a link right in the description right up at the top that'll bring you to making a free site on Wix. That way you're not accidentally signing up for a paid plan. This will bring you right to a free plan. So that way you can get started in the same place that I am. It's just going to ask you to create your account real quick, which is just your email and a password. And that way you'll be all set and you'll be brought to this page. Now once you get to this page, this is really where it all begins. So you can choose from a ton of templates here. So depending on what you're trying to make this website for, they give you a bunch of different options. So if you have a business, you would obviously go with business. Your photography service, you would go with photography. If you're a musician, pretty far out, but if you're working for a country club and you have to make a website for them, then you could do something like restaurant. So you can get really creative with this, and keep in mind that you can always change this in the next step. So let's just say we're going with business to start off. So we'll select business, and then it gives you two options. So one of them is to let artificial intelligence make the website for you. Now, this is something that I like to stay away from because it can overcomplicate things, where artificial intelligence thinks that you want this, this, and this, but that's not what you really have imagined in your mind. And then taking away those elements sometimes can create a bigger mess than if you were to just do it on your own. So I suggest you stay away from the artificial intelligence and you create your own with the Wix website editor, and you can choose your template. That way you know exactly what you're getting into and you're not kind of just answering questions and then having something make something for you and then you have to kind of take out the pieces you don't like. So let's do choose template over here. And now you really get to choose exactly what you're going for. So keep in mind that all of these templates are customizable. So what you're looking for is just a general overview of what you like. And you don't have to choose from a template either. So these are probably the popular templates here in business, but you can also do a blank template where you could just start from complete scratch and start filling things in. I don't recommend you go with that unless you're looking for something extremely basic that just says like your company's name on it or something like that. I recommend you go by category or go by most popular, and you choose a pre-made template here. So I'm going to go back into business over here. And there's a bunch of really good templates here. Now what you're going to do is go through these templates and you can view or edit. And if you do view, then it's going to let you preview the template. Then, let's just X out of this. This is prompting us to edit the site. We don't want to do that yet. We're just previewing it. Then this is what it would look like. So you can get a feel for it. It's just very basic, all stock photos and general information at this point. But this is actually a really nice looking website. And you can see the different pages that come with the template. So with this one, it looks like it's actually just mostly one page. The service page is a different page. But let me show you what I mean real quick. So the home page goes down like this, and you can see there's an About Me section right here. The About tab up top just brings you to that same section on the home page. And as we get further in the course, I'll explain what all of these are and how they work. But I'm just trying to break this down so you can understand what these different components are. And then you click Services, and it brings you to a whole nother page of just services. It's no longer the home page. And you've got a couple different options as well. So this is actually one of the newer templates that they've just put in. I haven't seen it before, and I actually really like it. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this one to edit, but you can choose any of the other ones. And a quick note before I move on to start editing this is you can view what it looks like on desktop, which is what we're on right now, but you can also view what it looks like if someone were on their phone. And you have to keep in mind that it obviously depends on your industry, but more than 50% of people using websites nowadays are using it on a smartphone. So you want to make sure that almost more than desktop, that it looks great on mobile. And this does look really good as well. You'll see that that menu that was right up here, the tabs that are up top, when you're on mobile, it's actually in these three dots, these three lines, and that's kind of across the board for any website, especially for Wix. So that's just something to keep in mind when we're looking at this. That's where all those different sections go. So like I said, I really do like this template here. So I'm going to go ahead and select Edit. Now if you didn't like this template, you could just go back to your other tab up top here, and it'll bring you back so you can keep viewing and choosing which one you want to edit of different templates. And there's a bunch of different categories down the side here as well. So I do like this one, so I'm going to go ahead and do Edit this site. And now this typically takes a little bit to load, 10-15 seconds, but it's going to bring you to the WIX website editor, as opposed to the artificial intelligence pre-made website. So this is your editor, and this is really where we need to take a minute to slow down and kind of point out what everything is here. So this is where everything is going to happen when you're customizing your site. So I want to start by saying what the buttons are, which ones are important, which ones you're going to use a lot, and things like that. So let's start up here in the top left corner and work our way across. Right here is where you are going to select which page you want to edit. So as you can see, these different pages correspond to what's over here. So if we were to click Services, it'll bring us to our Services page, and we can edit that page. Now, you can't just click Home over here to go back because we are in Editor. So to go back to Home, we select Home over here. So just keep that in mind. That's how you edit your different pages. Now, we'll get into this further, but you can also add more pages if you want to add different pages up top here. But as we work our way across, as we saw from just before, we're in desktop view right now, but you can also do mobile view. And that way you can still edit here. Oh, it's just going to prompt us to say this is what mobile is. We don't need this, we can skip this right here. And you can edit everything right here, so it's a custom look on mobile. So if you were to drag an element up here, it doesn't change it over here, which is actually really nice. So you can custom change things for mobile to make it look specifically how you want it to look on a phone, and that doesn't affect how it looks on the computer, which is really nice. And then as we come over here, we have general site buttons. So we have your save, preview. It keeps you in editor, but it previews the site as if you were to have launched the site to publish it. And then a couple other buttons here that we really won't be using quite yet. But the save button and the preview button and the publish button are all over here as well as quick links. So you'll be using them here more often than you will over here, just because it's easier to click. Now something I want to touch on about the save before we get a little bit too far is you want to be saving your site as often as you can remember to. Because if something glitches on Wix or your internet connection gets lost, everything you had been working on up to that point is completely gone. So you won't be able to find it again. And I've done this many times before where I've worked on the site for 2 hours doing all these things, updating everything, and then the internet connection goes out or Wix glitches real quick and I lose everything and it's not a fun time. So just click save and make sure that you're saving that often. And the first time you save, it's going to ask you to name your website. So we can just do this as YouTube example site. And we'll just save and continue. And that's going to load. And then once it's saved, it'll prompt you with this, which is great. I'm actually going to turn that off so it doesn't keep coming up every single time. The way you'll be able to tell is when you change one thing. There we go. You can save and just wait till it gives you the check mark, and that's how you know that the site is saved. And then when we want to preview it, just like that, all this does is so you can't move elements anymore. This is so you can see the site in real time as if you were to have published it. It doesn't actually publish the site and push any of your changes to the live site, but it just allows you to preview what it would look like if you did. Then we can just hit the back to editor, and it brings us back out of that preview mode there. And then let's talk about the publish real quick as well. So if we were to hit this, it's going to make the site live at this link, which is the YouTube example site. So technically we can view it right now. I'm just going to open that up and show you. And this will essentially be like the preview mode. So if you are editing the site and you don't want it to be live on the internet yet, just don't hit publish yet. So I just hit it, so this is technically live right now, but no one's going to be looking for this. But if you do make changes, if you are making changes in here and you're not finalized with them yet, just make sure that you hit save, and then once everything is finalized and ready to go, then hit the publish. So getting back to this, the site is kind of taken care of now. If you have any specific questions about anything else here, feel free to just let me know, but nothing too crucial over here. And you've got your site settings here, which just allows you to do a couple more things. None of this stuff we will be doing right now. We may get into a couple more of these things down the road, but you can edit these in a different place than right here, and I'll show you all that in a bit. And then you've got tools, so you can turn on rulers, you can turn on your toolbar, which is this right over on the side here. I don't actually use the toolbar really ever. It does pop up a lot, so I'm just going to leave it on. When you're dealing with images, sometimes the toolbar is nice because it brings in sizes of the images. So for the time being, just leave it on, and then if you find that you don't use it as you're going forward, you can just turn that toolbar off. The ruler you can keep on. I actually like to keep it on. And the ruler, all that is you can see up on the top here, and then over on the side here, ruler pops in, and that way you can, if you need something to be perfectly centered, you can count out the pixels, and you can actually, so it's 0 over here, I believe it's something like 980 pixels over here, 980, and all I did right there was just click in the ruler, and it adds a line. Now no one else can see this line but you in editor, and what's cool about that is you can find a center point, and that's what I use it for. So I'm just going to go back over to this line and just delete it real quick, and set this one up in the center just so we can use it for reference as we're going forward. So it was 0 over here, and it was 980 over here. So you divide that by 2, and that gives you 490, and then that should be center. So what's cool about that is now things will snap into center right onto that line. And you can use that as reference. No one else will see that besides you. But let's just put that one right there, and that way you have it for reference as we go on building this site. And then going forward, you've got snap to objects, which just allows you to snap things into place, like to the left here and to that center line that we just did. So let's keep that on as well. And that takes care of tools. So WIX code, now we won't be using this at all. I have used it in the past, and what's kind of cool about this is once we build this initial site here and everything looks good and it's functional and everything works well, down the road, if you do want to make your site more complex and you want to add in a bunch of really technical features like maps, APIs to calculate distances, or if you have a website developer that's programming something special for your website or your company, you can turn on this WIX code, and it allows you to manually add code to the website. So you have to know what you're doing or hire a programmer, and they can add code to interact with your website, so you can add on advanced features to your basic website that you create with WIX. So we're not going to turn that on right now because we won't need it in this tutorial, but just know that you do have that option down the road. If you need to make your website very advanced, you can do that. And then help, if you need help, you can find some WIX assistance here. I find the best way to find help is to go to the WIX support, and they have a bunch of FAQs there answering questions. Also, it'll prompt you when you go to a question, did this answer your question, yes or no? If you say no, it'll give you the option to either email WIX and have them email you back, or get a call from them. So I love to get a call from them, and all you do is put in your phone number, and then it's typically within 10 minutes they give you a call and you have a live person on the phone to help you troubleshoot any issues you may be having. So that's great to know. You can probably get to that through the editor help center right here, or you can just Google WIX support and it'll take you right to it. And then upgrade, all this is going to compare your plans here. I do want to touch on this really quickly, so I'm just going to open this up. A new tab right up here. I typically pay $14. Now these prices vary all the time. They have specials going on, and I found out that they are not flexible, so if there's no special going on, they can't give you a special price. I've called and I've talked to them on the phone trying to negotiate because I have multiple websites I'm paying for, and sometimes the prices go up, and I just tried to get them to honor my other rates, which were cheaper for the same thing, and they couldn't do it, which I was kind of disappointed about. But I just think that might be valuable information for you to know, is that whatever the specials are, I think that's kind of how it's set, and I don't know that they have the ability to override it. So these are 3 plans right here, but there's definitely more. They're showing you the combo and unlimited, and it just basically goes off of how much storage you have on the site. So how many photos you could upload, how many blog posts, how much storage you could keep on that site, and then also if it has WIX ads on it or not. So at the top of the page, does it say this website was created on WIX or not? So if you buy any of these right here, it says that they all remove WIX ads, which is pretty nice. That way no one knows that it was made on Wix, and it all looks like it's your site. And then all of these as well, you can connect your domain. So if you buy a domain, which is the website name, which would be the name of your company or the name of your blog, whatever it is, you can connect it right to your Wix site, so it won't show Wix anymore. It'll actually just be exactly your website, and it'll go straight to this website that you create here, and it won't say anything about Wix anywhere, which is amazing, which is actually brilliant. And there are definitely more plans. They're not showing them on here right now. And like I said, it's kind of finicky how they do this, what they have going on. I know that I have seen I think it's a $6 plan, and that's per month. And the only thing it doesn't do is take away the Wix ads. So on the top and the bottom of the page, very top and very bottom, it says this website was made on Wix. However, you can still do everything else. You can connect your domain, the whole 9 yards. So it looks like that plan may be gone temporarily, but it's probably a seasonal thing where it comes and goes with the sales. But there's a $6 plan somewhere out there, 11, 14. And realistically, these prices are very cheap. So you end up paying like 150, 160 bucks a year, and that covers everything. So the only other expense you have is your actual website name, the domain, which is $12 a year, and I'll touch on that in about 30 seconds here. But that covers all your hosting fees, all your storage, and everything. So if the site were to go down or anything, Wix is responsible. So Wix doesn't really let your site crash. That's a lot of value for the price that you pay. So don't be scared about any of these prices. I happily pay $14, and I'm very happy with what I get for that on all of the websites that I have hosted. So the thing that I was just about to talk about is the domain, and that's the one thing that you do have to purchase outside of Wix and then connect it to Wix, and that's just the name of your website. So you don't want this long name to be the name of your website. It just doesn't make sense. So what we will do is open up a new tab real quick and go to Google Domains. Now Google Domains, I love. It's a place where you can buy your domain. So if we go back a page, it'll show you that you get free domain for 1 year. And what that is, and I've used it before, is it allows you to basically purchase the website domain for free for the first year through Wix. But then the only issue is that second year, once your business is starting to get established and you really need that website domain again, they're going to charge you, I think it was like $48 is what I paid per year going forward. They gave you it for free in the beginning and they locked you in, so now the only place you can get that domain is through them, and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for it every year. So don't do it through them. It'll still give you the option. It doesn't matter. You just don't fulfill that part of the offer. Come right over to Google Domains. And Google Domains is awesome. It's basically like buying from the wholesaler, the manufacturer. So you get most domains, I'm going to say 95% of domains are only $12 a year. So you can type in whatever you're thinking about doing, and just like generally whatever the name of your company is or general topic, whatever you want your website to be. So if we did like website, I'm just going to do website example. I don't know what's going to come up, but for the sake of this, it'll show you what you will see when you start to search your company's name or whatever you want your website name to be. So there's two things here. So you've got results, which is just going to show the main results, and then you have all endings, which will be not just .com or .net, but all the crazy endings that are now available nowadays. There's a ton. I would recommend that you stay within .com, .net, .org. Stay in that range. Maybe even .co is pretty friendly. But as you start to get into like .news or .site, it starts to get a little spammy looking, and I don't really recommend it. I don't have any data to back that up, but I'm in this space a lot, and a lot of people have the consensus that these crazy whatever sites people don't really like them as much. So stay in the .com range, but once you find one that you like websiteexample.co, but these ones are obviously taken. Someone already owns them. All the ones with the check mark are available. So this one is a premium site, so it's not $12 a year, it's actually $30 a year, which is still like $2.50 a month, something like that, which is pretty cheap. And all you do is add it to your cart, and then you just pay for it through Google. So obviously very safe, and you just pay for it on your credit card through whatever Google account you have. And I don't even know if you need a Google account to purchase it there. And I believe it's set to not auto renew, but you can turn auto renew on. So it will prompt you in like 350 days that your website domain will expire within 15 days. So you have time to renew it, or you can just leave auto renew on and not even worry about it. But once this is set up here, there's a couple more steps on the back end that we won't worry about in this tutorial, but you will do it like later on down the road once your whole website's built and everything, to connect your website domain here to your Wix site here. And once you get to that point, Wix will actually prompt you on it, and they will walk you through it. It's a couple steps. but you will find a lot of resources on Wix's site on how to do it. It's really just copy paste a couple lines here and click a few buttons and you'll be all set. So that's how you find the domain. I hope that helps you guys. And I'm just going to back out of these things, leave all of that, and come back to our website here. So now we're still at the home page here. So now we can start kind of moving things around. So all these elements, obviously you can just drag them and drop them, and we can use our middle line to snap things into place to make sure everything's lined up. And then over on the side here, we're going to use this add one a lot. So you can add, and sometimes it's a little slow, so bear with it. You can add, and then you can hover over all these things, and it gives you a ton of options. So you can add an image to your website, all different, really tons of things. So interactive is pretty cool. You can add a whole slideshow back here. So that's what this add does over here. Just whenever you need text or you need a photo, there's a ton of options over here. And we'll dig into this a little bit more, but let's stay right here for now. So you can move elements around and you can double click them to change what it says. So we can just select all of this and we can do YouTube. Let's do capitals to make it look pretty nice. Example website. You can type in whatever you want, and if you triple click it, it'll select all of it, and now you can start changing the text. So I wouldn't mess with the actual theme up top. That'll just give you completely different things. So let's stay on what we are at there, and as you saw, that just kind of moved, which was a little strange. So what we can do is use our back button right up top, and I'll just bring it back to exactly what we had here. That's a really nice thing to know. I'm glad that happened actually. You can redo and undo, which is great to have on this because sometimes you hit a button and it does something you weren't expecting it to. Just know that you have the undo right here. So that's all selected, and we can change the font to whatever we want. So we can go through all of these. And what I recommend you do is not have too many different fonts. When you start having a ton of different fonts on everything, one, it's a little harder on the eyes. It doesn't look as good and it kind of hurts the brain a little bit. But the other thing is it takes longer for the website to load, which is actually a good thing to know. It's more advanced, but it takes longer for the site to load because it has to load each one of those individual fonts. And Google doesn't like that. Google likes the websites to load really fast, and then it ranks you higher. Now, if you have a really slow loading website because it's super intricate and you have a bunch of different fonts and a bunch more things, then it's not going to rank you as high. It'll push you back a couple pages because it knows that when someone clicks on your site, it's going to take a long time for it to load. So keep that in mind. Just try to pick a couple good fonts and use those throughout the whole site. So I really did like this one here, the one that it came with by itself, the Avenir Light. So we'll just stick with that one. And then you can change more things here. So you can bold the text or you can italicize. And sometimes you'll see like that. This is highlighted, we hit bold, and it really doesn't change. So play around with it and see what works for you, but sometimes it won't change. Underline it, so you can really change the color, do whatever you want right here. So that's more for you to play around with, but that's what these buttons do here. And another cool little trick, it's a little bit more advanced, but I think this could be a cool time to talk about it, is that if you have any text like this that you want to link to something, you may not, but I just want to show you this feature. You can actually hit this link button right here, and you can link it to somewhere, anywhere you want. So another page on the site, you just choose whichever page you want it to link to, or its own web address. If you have it going to a specific blog or any specific page off the site, you can have it link right there. So I'm going to cancel that because I don't want to actually link that, but just know that you have that feature. So if you want any part of text to be clickable and link somewhere, that's all you have to do is hit that little button right here and then decide where you want it to go to. So let's back out of all of that and just know that we can move this around now. And put it right there. And this is the exact same thing right here, just obviously bigger font size. We're at 110. And it's the same deal right there. Nothing's really any different than what we were just doing over here. And then you've got a button right here. So buttons are linked, but all you do is select the button and hit the link. Same deal as before, decide where you want it to go to. So this makes sense. It's a Book Now button, and it's actually a great placement on your homepage like this, having a subtitle and then a big heading and a button right there. It's the first thing people see, and you will find that this button gets clicked a lot by people just landing on your website. So that button is a Book Now, and it goes right to the services page. So that makes perfect sense. And then what this means right here is that going to open up in a new tab up top, or is it going to stay in the same tab and just keep you on the site and bring you right over to the services page? I would recommend you just keep it right on the current window for something like a book now that's going to another page that's on your same website. So we'll keep it on current window and just do done, and that's all set. So if you do want to change what that says, if you wanted to say something like services, you can just hit change text, and then we can type in services. You wouldn't want to type it in like that, but you can type it in services, or you can type in really whatever you like. So I'm going to hit our undo and go back to book now because that looked really good, and we'll leave it just like that. So this is a video in the background right now. So what if we want to change that? What if we want it to be a photo and customize it to ourselves? Well, all we got to do is click anywhere on this background, and we can hit change background strip. Now it's going to bring us to the settings. So right now we can do the settings of the video, and we can play the video. So if we hit settings here, it's going to be, do we want any overlays over the video? Probably not. And different settings here. But let's just say we want to make it an image instead of a video. Well, all we have to do is select right here and choose image. And now we can do any images that we've already uploaded. So don't mind this is from a different website here, but these are other things that I've uploaded onto different sites. But you can choose, let's come over here and let's do free from WIX. So you can either upload your own photos right there, and if you do upload your own, make sure that they're very clear so you're not getting a very grainy, pixely look. And you can search, let's just do rock climbing and see what happens. So these are all free to use. So let's use this one. This looks pretty cool. Just select that one, and you can preview it if you want, just like that. And we'll hit change background. And slowly it's going to take out the video, and it's going to put in this guy in the background. So that's kind of cool. That's how you would change your background there. I probably would not use this one because it's cutting off his head and it doesn't look as good. So what I would do is go back into image, and I would keep searching until I found one that I really liked. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to leave it how it is. Or I can just use my back button, and I'll bring back the video that looks good. So we'll just leave that how it is, but that's how you change anything here. If you want it to be a solid color, you can come in here and just choose the color, and it would change the whole thing gray. But we're probably not going to do that because that video looks pretty good. So let's go back to that. If you have any questions about any of that, just let me know in the comments as we go through this video. If it's something that's really big that you're confused on, I can make another video specifically on how to do that feature or how to do those settings. So as we're coming down here, I just want to show you one thing on the side that you may not have seen. So I'm going to move the toolbar over to the side as much as I can to get it out of the way. I'm going to move it over here for the time being. This is an about anchor. So you see the little anchor symbol right here? Well, what that means is, we kind of saw it before, and if you know what an anchor is, you'll know what I'm talking about. When you're in preview, when you hit about, it's just going to scroll us down to the anchor. Instead of bringing us to, like we hit services, it brings you to a whole new page. Now, when we hit about, it brings us, we're still on the home page, and it just scrolls us to the first anchor. So let me explain how that kind of works and reverse engineer that for you. So this anchor is set right here. I'm just going to do, don't show that anymore because we don't need that. But how you would do that is come over to add, more at the bottom, scroll down, and then you've got an anchor. You just click that, and now you've got an anchor right here that you can move. And I'm just going to take this toolbar out of here because it's kind of getting in the way. So you can do the same. And then you've got an anchor like that. This one's called about, this one's anchor 1. So all we do now is whatever we want to link to that anchor. So if you want one of these up top to be set on an anchor as opposed to having its own page, we'll come up top here and we'll do manage pages. And now it'll give you all of the items that we have over top here. And then some of them are actually hidden from this template, so it won't show in here. However, you still have those pages. But we'll hit about, and then we'll hit this little button right here, and we can change the link. So when someone clicks about when you're on the real site, this will tell you where it's going to. So right now, it's saying that the anchor is on the home page, and it goes right to about. And that's the name of the anchor right there. So a little bit confusing, but that's how that works. So you can link things. So for instance, if we were to hit book, we can link it to an anchor, and we could choose which anchor we wanted it to go to. So we've got the anchor 1 and anchor about. So that's how that does work. It's a little bit confusing on how you set it, but if you really need that feature, that's how you would do it. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this one because we don't need it. So I just right click there and delete that. So that kind of explains how that anchor works and how that's not its own separate page there, and how it's just the about page on an anchor. And then as we come through here, just scrolling down a little bit further, you can adjust these titles here and read more. So we'll see where this links to. More About Me. So in the current window, it's going to bring you to the page called More About Me. So when we were just up here, I saw this More About Me page and was kind of confused on where that was coming from in the template. So when we click on that, this is a full page on who the person is and more about them. As you can see, once you start filling all this in, it can get pretty lengthy. It deserves its own page. You wouldn't want to put this right on your home page. However, having this little anchor section here gives you a sneak little preview and builds some credibility and shows some insight on who the person is, which is great. And then people have the option of clicking right here, read more, and it brings them to that separate page called More About Me. So you've got photos over here, and this is split into 2 columns, it looks like. All we have to do is change column background, and we can add in the photo. So this is where you would add in your photo, or if you're going to name this like About the Company or About Us, you can have in the photo of the team, things like that. And all you would do here is just select your image the same way we did before. You can upload it right here, upload images, and it'll come right from your computer. And then you can put your image in here. So pretty simple. If you have any questions about that, leave it in the comments and I can answer that for you. But then as we come down through here, we've got to first look at their services. So this isn't all of the services, but this is where you want to put your most popular service, the thing you want to sell the most. You don't have to lay it out this way, but this is actually a pretty nice way to lay it out. You can put like the most popular service right here, book it, and then that's going to link to the booking page where they can book it right here. So it doesn't actually book the service. All that does is bring them to the full booking page. So I really like that actually. So one service that's popular, grab their attention, and when they hit book it, it goes right to the full service page. Even if they don't hit book it and they go to more services, it's going to bring them to the exact same service page, which is just a service up here. So there's a couple ways to get to this service page up here. And this is, at the end of the day, where you want to send people, because if you have a service business or you have products, this is where you're going to be getting your sales. So we'll come back to home and get back into editor and just work our way down. So I hope this is helping you guys. If you have questions, leave them in the comments and I can answer them for you. And the last part of this home page here is the contact form. So you just fill in your address, and then these are all social bars, so you can link them, each one of them, to, you have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. If you don't have them, all you have to do is remove, and it takes it away. And you can add in other ones too. So you can add in icons here. You can add in other social platforms that you may have. So that's down there, and all those, when you're in actual live mode or preview, you click it and it'll take you right to the Facebook site or whatever the link was you set for that. Now the contact form, I really like these about Wix. I love it because you can set where it sends to. So you can set what, I'm just going to double click that and allow us to manage this field. So you can set what kind of information you're collecting, and then you can set where that information gets emailed to. And it's all completely free too. It's just an app that comes with this template, and you can add it in onto any template as well. I'll talk about that in a second. But if you don't want a subject line, you just name, email, and message. All you gotta do is hit the 3 dots and delete that. Or you can edit it, and you can change what's displayed in the middle here would be, leave us a note, or how can we help you, something like that. And then that's what it'll say in the middle here. So then when they start typing in it, that will go away. So when we're in preview, they click here and they start typing, that goes away. Back to editor real quick. So as you saw, we took out that middle box there. So there's this gap here. So all we have to do is come back here and just drag this up, just like that. And we'll take this and we'll move it up as well. If you want to select 2 items at once to move them both, all you have to do is press that, press one item, hold shift, press another item, and then you can move them up together. And now that grouping option is another good thing we can talk about here. You can group the elements. So now these 2, whenever we click on them, they will be moving together. And then you can ungroup them just by clicking like that and clicking off of it. You can select them by holding shift, select multiple items just like that. But I do want to talk a little bit more about this Wix form because I think it is a really powerful thing, and everyone kind of needs a contact form somewhere on their website. When you hit settings here, on submissions, it'll allow you to set where you want to send that message to. So someone put their name, their email, and a note. You can set your email address here and a second email as well, and that's where whenever someone fills this out and hits submit, it'll email you their name, their email address, and the note that they left to your email address. So super helpful and super powerful, completely free as well. So you can put this at the bottom of your page, or you can have it on a whole contact page itself, just like this right up top. So if we go up top, and I don't see contact right here, so what I'm going to do is go into preview, and now you can hit contact. That's why. It's on an anchor, so it brings us right to the bottom. That makes sense. So back to editor, and it looks like there's a chat here as well. This is just something that's added on this template here. So we can hit settings on that, and we can really see what's going on with this. If you don't want a chat, then you can just turn it off. And how you do that is just X out of this. Is just click on it over here and hit the delete, and it'll just take it all away, and that way you won't have a chat. If you're not looking to have live chat on your website, you may not need it. If you do, then you can configure the settings in there, and obviously let me know if you have questions about it. But it is pretty simple. I've had live chat on one of my websites before, and it turned into quite a hassle because every time someone wrote in, it would be at random times, and it would just alert on my phone, and I would have literally be having a conversation with them, and sometimes it was very inconvenient timing. And that live chat, you can't exactly tell them, oh, I'll get back to you in an hour, because they're waiting on the site for your answer. So I would take that off. If you really want it, you can leave it on there and configure the settings, and that way you can talk to someone when they're on your site and they have a question. But I prefer to have the contact, and that way if they do have a question, it emails you and you can get back to them at your earliest convenience instead of trying to answer them immediately and then them being frustrated when you're not responding within a minute. So that's the whole homepage here. That kind of covers everything about this homepage, and then all you'll have to do from here is go into the different pages. So I'm just going to click, because some of the pages are hidden and it's kind of confusing, I'm going to do manage pages. That brings you to all of the pages, not just the ones that are shown right here. So the difference between a hidden page and a non-hidden page is obviously something that's non-hidden is shown right in this bar up top. Now if you wanted to hide the about, all we would do here is hit hide, and then that about won't be up top anymore, but we do want to leave it just because it looks better there and it brings you right down to this section here. And then all of these, obviously like this one, is hidden because the only way you can get to it is through the button on the home page. So we'll leave that one hidden. That makes sense. That's how you hide or unhide things. So you really don't need to know much more about hiding or unhiding. There's not too much to talk about there, but you can add pages. So if you need to add some kind of page, like in the news or media, PR, or something like that, all you hit is add page, and then it'll bring a new page right in here. And you could say like in the news. So this is where you could put your anytime that you've been in the media or anything like that. And then notice that this is between services and blog right now. That's because it's between services, hidden, and blog. Now if we drag it, we can bring it behind blog, in between blog and contact. And that way it's over here. And then all we have to do is hit X, and now we are actually in that page. So when you look over here, you can see that we're selected on in the news. And since we just created the page, it's completely blank. So there's nothing here. So what we have to do here is come over to our ad. And once we're in ad, we can come into interactive. We can do really whatever we want to add to this. You can add, typically strips and interactive are great things that you can add to a page to make it look great. So in the news, let's just say we want to use just this one for instance, right? So we'll just click it, and it'll drop in that strip right to this page. And now we can edit everything here. Now if we wanted to add something else below it, we'll just click right in this space here, click off of the strip, come back to add, and we can keep adding other things here, like a quote or whatever we want. And now if you want to move, like if you want this quote strip to be above this one, you want them in different placements, a cool little trick is you can hit this magnifying glass, zoom it out, and then it actually allows you to see the site from a zoomed out perspective and move things up. So you can either click and drag them to move it above, or you can hit this down arrow and it switches the placements, which is really cool. And then once you're set with that, you can hit X and it brings you right back to your page. So what if we want some space right here? Well, there's a couple ways we can do that. One is adjust page height and move it just like that. Let's undo that real quick. Or we can zoom out, and if it's between sections, oh man, you can do it here, but it won't allow us to do it at the bottom. So it looks like for that instance, we're going to come back, and the only way we can do this is just by clicking here and adjusting the page height to add in more area here. And what's cool about this is now you just have space that you can do something custom again. So we could do add, and we could add text. Oh, that's a very big text box. But you can type in whatever you want here. So latest news. And I'm going to make that text a bit smaller. I got to select it all first. And then just drag it up here. And you can customize things, so you can add in images or whatever you want here, and then just more text, and you can just do things by hand if you don't want to use strips. But I recommend you, like, I'm going to take this strip out, just click it and hit delete, and I'll bring this up top here, closer to this top one. So now when someone hits in the news, you can see you can customize this to whatever you want here, and then you can keep customizing down here. So you can get really creative with that. I'm not sure how much I can touch on that in this tutorial, but if you have questions on how to add anything here, just let me know. And then these are kind of cool. So these are actually slides. So since we added this from over here, and we did it from strip, this was a slide that has multiple pages. So you have 1, 2, and 3, and you can edit all 3 of them. And then you can change the order of them if you wanted to. You can do manage slides, and you can put 3 in front of 2 just by selecting here and dragging it up here, just if you wanted them in a different order. But all you do is just come in and change all the text and everything here. You can change colors of things here. Just hit design. You can change the design. If you want to customize it, you can. That way you can go further and come into different colors here. And then border is just talking about if it actually has a border on it. I would say to make them all the same. So if you have a border on one, make a border on the rest of them. And then corners. So if we put like 10 here, it's going to round the corners by 10 pixels. We did 100, it'll round it by 100 pixels. That's how that works. And then this is just a shadow. It'll add a shadow down here. We do the angle, distance. We'll do the light coming. See, this is what I'm talking about. Something went wrong while saving. So you have to make sure you're saving all the time. Just say, okay. So wherever you angle this is where the light's coming from. And as you can see down here, that's where the shadow is going to be. Probably not going to be using that on this. We'll just keep it nice and clean how the template has it. So that's how you can customize that. And then the background, we can change that color as well by change slide background. And this is the same thing we were doing before. So nothing really changes there. Change the color. We could change it to whatever we wanted. So that should give you a pretty good understanding about that. One more pretty big thing that I think we should talk about is the app market. So right here, it's already expanded. So we have, as we know, we have our ad. We can add all different things here. But when we come to the app market, now we can add in things that are not just made by WIX, but also by third-party companies. So these are typically more advanced things, but there's a bunch of different things here. So you can scroll through and see the different categories. There's a ton, there's probably thousands of different apps here. So you can just go in and look around and see what you want to add to your site. Some of them are paid, some of them are free, and it'll tell you free and premium. So that means there's a free version, and then premium. This one's free trial as well. So kind of come around here, and this is where you play around with it. You may not need to use any of these, but if you do need a more advanced feature or something that's not included in the template and something that you can't just create on your own with the add-in things over here, you can come into the WIX market and search for it and see if you can find something. And typically there's something for everything in the app market, whether it's free or paid. And then all you have to do when you find something that you want, so for instance, this is WIX Chat, that's that live chat that we took off before. All you have to do when you find it, it says it's free and premium. So let's just click on it, open it up. And features and pricing is the first place I go to see what does free mean and what does premium mean, how much is it charge and everything like that. So free gives you all of these features. Okay, that's great. So let's add that to the site. And it'll add it as free as the primary thing. And then you have to upgrade it from there. So all these little crowns are for upgrading. So if you add something that's free/premium, it's going to add it to your site as free. So don't worry about being charged. And then you will have to manually upgrade it to the premium version. And then you just do your settings. But this is what we took off our site before, so I'm just going to click it again and hit delete. It takes it away. But that's how you add things from the app market. And then once you are ready to go, so I think that kind of covers all the bases here. If you have any detailed questions about anything, like this, anything that was small that I missed, like the logo right up here, anything like that, this is really nothing to be talked about. It's just two different text boxes. That's all that is. If you have any questions specifically, let me know in the comments, and I can make a whole video about it, or I can just answer the question for you if it's something that's pretty easy. And then once you're done, you just hit publish here. And when you hit publish, it automatically saves it. But like I said, you want to be saving your site as much as you can. And then this is the site name. So this is how people get to it right now. This is how they would currently get to it. And we can select it all and copy it. Or we can just hit view site. So if we were to copy it, we can open up a new tab and paste it, and it'll go right to it. So that's the link that we would share for the time being. But you can link up your domain to it, so it's not this crazy long thing. And that's how you would get to it. And this is our site. So this is our real site that we've just put together. And it's really just a template. We haven't changed much on here. But this is how it works. This is our in the news tab that we added right over here. And just like that. And if you pull it up on mobile, go to this same page on mobile. It'll show you how it looks on mobile, and it should look great. So as I'm seeing, there's a couple of little things that I do want to touch on before we just finish up here. So as you see, when you hover over this homepage logo, this isn't really a logo, it's really just the text over here that looks like a logo. You see how the little selector changes to a click? That's because it brings you to the homepage. So if you're on services and you come over here, on any website, it should, when you click this, it should take you to the home. So how we do that is scroll all the way up. And we click this, and we talked about it before, but I didn't tell you it in this context. We hit edit text, and it's linked. So as we talked about before, it's linked in the same current window to the home page. So that's all we have to do, make sure that's set. And naturally, it puts an underline on it when you link something. So highlight the whole thing again, turn underline off. And then we'll come down here, triple click it, selects it all, and we'll link it right to the home page. It's going to underline it. Select it all, take the underline off. Now when anyone's on your site and they hover over your logo or the name of your company over here, it'll take them right to the home page. And then the last thing is all the way at the bottom of the page, you have your copyright. You don't have to register anything for this copyright. This is your informal copyright that you get by creating this website yourself. So whatever year this is, it's 2018 right now, that's when the copyright is effective from. So when it turns 2019, you do not have to change this to 2019. Leave it on 2018, and that means your copyright is effective all the way back starting in 2018. So that's a good thing to know that you probably wouldn't know if you were not up to date on making a bunch of websites. And then you just put the name of your company right here. But that's how all that works. And if you have any specific questions, definitely let me know. Like I said, I put a link right in the description down below where you can get started if you haven't been following along this whole time, and that'll get you started on a free website. And then as you get the website built and everything's ready, I do think that Wix has a pretty good offer. $14 a month is quite a bargain for what you get, and mobile optimized, the whole 9 yards, plus you get the whole WIX App Market. So I wouldn't bat an eye at $14 a month. I pay it on multiple different websites, and check it out. So let me know if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and then if it's something pretty big that gets upvoted in the comments, I'll make a whole video about it. But I hope you guys like that, and like this video, subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a ton, and I'll see you guys in the next one.